One Punch Man Season 3 Episode 3 might just be the strongest episode yet. And we know that not from speculation, but straight from the source. Mr. Aoki, one of the lead animators from both Season 2 and 3, dropped the first teaser confirming exactly that. Now, while this episode absolutely shows major improvements in animation, pacing, and storytelling, it's not flawless. There are some moments that feel stretched, scenes that linger a few seconds too long, but compared to the chaos of that Garou sliding scene from the last episode, yeah, we're in a much better place now. In this breakdown, I'll unpack my thoughts on the production, the subtle manga differences, and what all of this means for episode 4. But before diving into deeper analysis, let's talk about a few early changes you might have missed, because trust me, this episode hides way more than just great animation. Now, right after the Mizuki scene, there's a small but important tweak. Originally, that short shot of Chibi Tatsumaki was meant to last 2.1 seconds, but instead, the animators added a new clip of the demon level monster, Do-S, splitting the time between them. Even Mizuki's scene itself changed. Instead of the left and right shots happening simultaneously like before, the sequence now alternates. She dashes to the right, then leaps into the left. Now, I'm not sure if that was always part of the plan and they just ran out of time before, or if the Do-S was added later because the static Tatsumaki shot felt too stiff. Either way, it's a smart fix. And here's something I always forgot to mention. The opening song's lyrics actually foreshadow this entire arc. The showdown starts again, factions gather and surge. The association pushes in, danger's full throttle, already at the limit. That's literally describing the arc's premise, and hardly anyone talks about it. But from that small detail alone, we can already tell episode 3 came to prove something big. Right from the first scene, the tone hits differently. Zombie Man finally meets Dr. Genus, and their conversation about the limiter is word for word faithful to the manga. But the anime adds a touch of subtle storytelling here. Armored Gorilla quietly sitting in the same room. They don't draw much attention to it, though in the manga his presence is more obvious. Later the anime makes up for it with a short exclusive scene where Armored Gorilla serves another cup of coffee after Zombie Man spills his. In the manga, that cup just magically refills. There's even a Carnage Kabuto figurine hanging from the lamp behind Zombie Man. Blink and you'll miss it. In the manga, it gets its own panel, a small Easter egg but a meaningful one, reminding us of Dr. Genus' past and Season 1's route. But just as the dialogue gets deep, the episode cuts hard to chaos. Garou vs Royal Ripper and Bug God. This fight was teased ages ago, but the final version completely outshines expectations. Not only did the animators expand the sequence with anime exclusive scenes, they also gave the fight real breathing room. The first shot, Garou's wide punch at Bug God, is brand new. The follow-up clash with the Royal Ripper lasts about 15 full seconds of new animation. Every move feels deliberate and weighty. Royal Ripper actually comes across as a genuine threat this time. They made him look more formidable than the manga ever did. Now, one weird omission, Garou deflecting Ripper's attack toward Bug God, which was in the teaser and the manga, is missing here. No idea why, maybe time constraints, maybe production limits, but despite that, they compensate with more shots of Garou struggling to block Bug God's punch, showing just how strong Bug God really is. But visually, it's on another level. The color correction is sharper. Royal Ripper's slashes glow red now instead of blue, and the line art's thicker, and the water stream rock smashing fist effect is finally here. Easily the smoothest and best animated scene of Season 3. But not everything survived the transition from teaser to full episode. Dr. Genus' voice acting in the teaser was honestly better. The teaser gave his words space. You could feel the satisfaction in "he broke his limiter." In this episode, those beats are rushed. Even worse, instead of showing Saitama struggling to breathe, the anime just holds on to a still image, losing the emotional punch. It's likely because Mr. Aoki, the teaser's animator, was only credited as an action key animator. He probably wasn't paid for non-action scenes, which is a shame because his dramatic pacing was excellent. Still, I'll take this over the awkward moments from earlier episodes any day. Then comes the limiter explanation. 4 static shots of monsters and heroes lingering for almost a minute. It's straight from the manga, yes, but the pacing drags. This was a moment where they could have showed Genus from different angles, zoomed or panned to keep the energy alive. Not a deal breaker, but it does feed the slideshow criticism that fans have been throwing around. Luckily, Garou's still here to pull us right back into motion. When we cut back to Garou's fight, it's still going and it still looks great. Royal Ripper's movements are smooth, fluid, and almost too polished for how brief the moment is. But when Garou spits out his tooth, that transition looks a bit rough. The manga shows it in full frame panel. The anime jumps to it abruptly. It's a tiny flaw, but it's still there. Thankfully, the next sequence makes up for it. Excellent voice acting, clean animation, and real emotional payoff. Then we shift to Saitama's apartment, and right away the difference hits you. Geno's frame looks totally different from the first PV, confirming that the preview footage was pre-animated. Honestly, that indie-style art form from the promo looked way better than this episode's final output. And while the dialogue between Saitama and Genos is accurate, word for word, it doesn't feel right. And that comes down to one overlooked detail: sound. The sound editing on this episode is off. Some scenes use music that doesn't just fit. For example, the sadness track with the high piano tones plays during a tense scene. Why? It's not sad. It's supposed to build suspense, not sympathy. It feels like they were testing different tracks and just stuck with what was available. This pattern continues throughout the whole apartment sequence. Even the manga cues are slightly tweaked, like removing Genos' inner monologue when he senses a monster approaching. In the anime, we don't get those thoughts or outside shots. It just cuts straight to King opening the door. And when Dr. Kusino enters, the manga shows his feet first. A nice reveal. In the anime, he is suddenly just there. Genos doesn't even prepare to fight him. It happens off screen. Worse, Kusino's conversation drags. The manga intercuts it with Fubuki, Bang, Bomb listening in, but the anime just stays locked in on him. One good change though, the gift scene. We actually see what's inside, beef. In the manga, it's sealed shut. It's a small thing, but it adds personality. Then comes one of the most surprising returns in the episode. We cut to Gyuro talking with Bug God and Royal Ripper. Not much new here, but the pacing works. They skip the tracking device Child Emperor sent. No big loss since Gyuro explains it anyway. They also removed a few dialogue lines, like Gyuro noting that heroes have cards up their sleeves after defeating Kokitsu and Elder Centipede. Again, not crucial, but noticeable for manga readers. Now, fans thought the monster prep scene might actually get cut entirely, but to everyone's surprise, they actually included it. Yes, they trimmed a few lines, but the scene's spirit is intact. Rhino Wrestler only punches the wheel bag once here. In the manga, he smashes it repeatedly and even talks about his strength. Pure Blood's jab at Devil Longhair got removed too, but honestly, it didn't add much. And the random monster who interacts with G5 and Royal Ripper, gone, and good riddance, he didn't matter. But here's the pleasant surprise: the animated Gale Wind versus Hellfire Flame. That fight wasn't even expected. It's rough, sure, the animation's jagged at times, but it exists and it's exciting. Seeing those characters move brought unexpected energy to the back half of the episode. And they even improved Homeless Emperor's shot. His hair now moves naturally, unlike the stiff teaser. But the real question, how does it all end? We all expected a specific moment to close this episode, the big cliffhanger, and honestly, it should have been there. The timing was perfect to roll the credits right at that reveal. I get it, maybe they didn't have the runtime, but that one decision could have ended episode 3 with a real gut punch, leaving fans desperate for episode 4. Instead, the ending we got is fine, just not impactful. Overall though, episode 3 is the best entry in season 3 so far. The pacing is solid, the animation fluid, and the fight scenes finally hit that sweet spot between manga faithfulness and creative flair. Now for my episode 4 predictions. Spoilers ahead for anime only viewers. I think we'll finish the rest of chapter 89, then fully cover chapters 90 and 91. That means S-Class heroes assembling, Garou saving Terrio from Royal Ripper, and the final cliffhanger showing Garou and Terrio facing Rover for the first time. That setup would make a perfect episode 4 if they handle the pacing right. But at this point, who knows? Production consistency still feels unpredictable. Either way, this episode gives me hope. It's not perfect, but it's progress. And as always, One Punch Man deserves so much more than mediocrity. So yeah, episode 3 was a setup, and I genuinely enjoyed it. If you did too, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my latest videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.